Hello everyone, Umesh Bharadkar here. In today's video, we will see delegation in Power Apps. With this diagram, you will get the full idea how delegation works in Power Apps. I will explain each point how exactly delegation works. So let's see. So these three topics we will cover inside the video. First is what is the delegation inside the Power Apps, how delegation works in Power Apps, and practically also I will show you how exactly the delegation works. Okay, so this is the definition. Delegation is the process where Power Apps sends the filtering, searching, and sorting logic to the data source. The data source then processes the query and returns only the required result back to Power App. This process is called delegation. So here is the delegation definition. Okay. So delegation is Power Apps delegates their query with their data source and data source will work on it and the required result will send back to the Power Apps. Okay. So this process is called delegation. Okay. Now this is the main diagram where you will get the full idea. So here the first communication between the Power Apps and SharePoint with the delegable query. Okay. So here Power Apps asking to SharePoint, hey SharePoint, I need only those students whose names starts with Aditya. Okay. Here using starts with function and the starts with function is delegable function. Okay. So with this delegable function, SharePoint can understand. And here SharePoint will reply that, okay, Power Apps, I will check the student names that starts with Aditya from my side and will send you only those students. So basically here Power Apps can delegate with the SharePoint or data source. So here is the delegation. It can delegate, okay, or with this delegable query, what result will come? It will work with large data. Okay. I will show you inside the practical, then there you will get the full idea. But here first, I will show you exactly how work. Okay. And also with delegable query, it gives the accurate and complete data. Okay. Now we will see how exactly delegation fails with non-delegable query. Okay. So this is the communication when non-delegable query we delegate with the data source from Power Apps. Okay. So now here Power Apps asking, hey SharePoint, give me those students where inside the student name is Aditya. Okay. So here using search function and now here I'm giving the demo with SharePoint data source. So that's why search is non-delegable for the SharePoint. Okay. And now SharePoint will give the reply. Hey Power Apps, I don't understand the search function. Sorry, I can't give you the data you need. So basically SharePoint cannot relate this with this non-delegable function. Okay. Now in this case, what will happen? It result comes missing records, delegation warning, can't work on large data set. Now here, what will happen if SharePoint cannot give the data which required? Okay, then Power Apps. Oh, but the developer who built application is asking me to fetch data using this non-delegable function. So now I will download only the first 500 or 2000 records, internally search within those records and return incomplete data. So basically, if we use non-delegable query based on your PowerApps data row limit. Data will retrieve inside the PowerApps, and internally on those retrieved data, it will work the filter query. Okay, I will show in demo. Okay, so here let me show you data row limit. So this is the data row limit. Inside the general settings, we can see this data row limit. Okay, so by default, PowerApps will set the 500 data row limit. We can increase it up to 2000 records only. Between 1 and 2000 we can set. Okay, so here if I set 2000, okay, so with non-delegable query, only 2000 records will retrieve. Here the Power Apps provided the information. Set how many rows are retrieved from server based connection where delegation is not supported, right? So here is the data row limit. So here many time confuse that delegation means 2000, but not delegation means 2000. Delegation is process and data row limit is the limitation of Power Apps. So here is it comes 2000 records with non-delegable query. Okay, let's see how delegation fails with non-delegable query. So here I am using the SharePoint as a data source, and this is the students list. Here I am using. So inside the student list, there are 5249 records. It means 2000 data row limit has crossed. Okay, so here let me explain how delegation fails with non-delegable query. Okay, so here using search function, and the search function is non-delegable inside the SharePoint data source. Here Microsoft has provided all the information about the delegation. So here they have provided four major data source which mostly developers are using or everyone are using. So here let me click on a SharePoint, and here they provided which functions are delegable with which columns. Okay, so you can explore inside the description. I will provide this link. So now here search is non-delegable. So here we can see Power Apps will warn and will display the delegation warning. So here they are providing warning message as search is not delegable basically. Okay, the search part for of this formula might not work correctly on large data set. Now we have large data set, right? It means it crossed 2000 records, so it will not work. So let me show you how it will not work. So now here, if delegation fails with non-delegable query, Power Apps will retrieve records based on this data row limit. Okay, now here I have already set the 2000 records, so that's why Power Apps retrieve first 2000 records from the SharePoint or the data source. Now if I change data row limit as 10, okay, so now what will happen? Let me refresh this. Power Apps will retrieve first 10 records from the data source. Okay, so now on those 10 records, Power Apps will search, filter which required, okay, the filter query. But basically here in this case, the data is incomplete because it only retrieved 10 records. And if I search Aditya, here it comes only two records. It means missing records, because actually, if I search inside the data list, here for Aditya's first name showing 314 records, but inside Power Apps showing only two records, because here I have used non-delegable query. Again, if I set here as a 2000, okay, then let's see. Okay, if I scroll up to the last record, here for Aditya showing 105 records. Okay, still it's incomplete or missing data. When we set the data row limit as 2000, it means anyhow with non-delegable query, it comes incomplete or incorrect or missing data. Okay, so here we can see if we use delegable function inside the Power Apps, then it gives all the records. Okay, so here we can see if I scroll, it automatically it comes all the data in batch of 100 records, because Power Apps gallery can retrieve in a batch of 100 records. Okay, so if I scroll up to last record, it automatically will retrieve all the records. Okay, and with delegable query, no matter what data row limit. Okay, so here we can see it's 2000 data row limit. If I set 10 and let me refresh this data source, okay, so it doesn't matter, it automatically it comes all the data. If I scrolled up to last record, it automatically comes with delegable records. Okay, also here if let me search Aditya, okay, so here we can see, okay, if I scrolled up to last Aditya's name, okay, so here it retrieving all Aditya's name inside this gallery. Okay, and now if I scrolled up to last, so here we can see it gets all the Aditya's records. Here we can see it shows 314 records, and if I search inside the list, it's same as 314 records. So here the correct data with delegable function. Okay, so with the delegable function we can see it retrieve correct data or complete data. So here I have scrolled up to last record and it retrieved 5249. So it matched with my data source. Here we can see it match with 5249. Okay. So here is the delegation process. Okay. Thanks. If you found helpful, please like, share, subscribe.